Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today I had a talk with champion grappler come MMA fighter from Team Compton Training Center, Dom Marfan, after his first victorious professional MMA debut on Eternal 65 against Roy Armisted.
I'm awesome, man. How are you going?
Good, man. It was good to see your professional fight, man, first one. And as you hoped to get into a fight, you mentioned that you wanted a scrap at the end. You said, I wanted a scrap. And that's exactly what you got, man, because it was a pretty tough fight, right?
Yeah, 100%. In 2019, I had a fight. I got clipped real early and I got knocked out, actually on Eternal. And then since then, I took about 1 to 2 years off fighting, and then I had 4 fights and I didn't get really hit in any of them. So I never got to really test my chin and feel that feeling of like, okay, I'm in a fight, but I can endure this. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So you said that you wanted to feel like you're not made of glass. So that was like was that a psychological thing that after being knocked out, you're just a bit worried or something about that, sort of getting iced again or something, or what?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because like I said, I went on a 4-fight win streak, but I didn't know. I never got to feel that feeling of being hit hard and going, okay, well, I can deal with this. So like even people that would watch me would casually mention, oh, but what would happen if you get hit again? And even though I've gotten hit in training room, I know I can take a shot. Part of me was like, fuck, well, what if they're right? Like that would be terrible. So having felt that, like, I feel like there was a point in that fight. I don't remember if it was first round or second round, but Roy kind of like loaded up with his overhand right. It was awesome shot, hit me behind the ear. And from what I've seen of his fights, that seems to be like his best shot. And like in my mind, I was like, okay, well, he just landed his best shot on me behind the ear, and like I'm still standing. So like obviously I can take this.
Yeah, man. And he looked like quite a strong stand-up fighter, man. Obviously his strength, but he landed some good shots on you, landed some high kicks even on you, and you got through it. So that's a nice little barrier, probably psychological barrier to overcome, right?
Yeah. The high kicks weren't as bad. I had my hand up. It's one of those things, I think, like it made a big slap, so then everyone in the crowd went wild. But like those didn't get me that much. There was one overhand right, like I said, that one actually got me a little bit, but like I was still standing, so that's something, right?
That's it, man. So looking at your background, you've had your amateur career as well, 6 fights, 5 wins, and quite a decent run in the grappling world over there, right, in Australia, with set on one of the sites over 50 gold medals in BJJ comps, Pan Pac champion, Queensland champion, different Brisbane Advanced Division champion. So yeah, you had a good run in the grappling, man.
Yeah. I definitely found I picked up grappling the easiest, especially like the jiu-jitsu side of it. The easiest out of like all the martial arts involved for mixed martial arts. I didn't really pick striking up, I feel, until I moved to Team Compton. And I started working with them. There was just something in the back of my head where it wasn't really clicking. But then after I moved to Team Compton, I felt like, okay, this makes sense. I kind of got a direction of how I need to get better. But yeah, grappling has always been a passion of mine. Like I definitely reckon one day, if I ever stop doing like mixed martial arts, like I reckon till I'm 90, I'll be doing jiu-jitsu and grappling. Like absolutely love it. Yeah, it's nothing more enjoyable.
Yeah, man. I've been asking the question of a few fighters lately about what's their number one. If they could choose one martial art, what would they choose? I'm going to actually got the list of questions I'm going to ask you at the end, but a few of them say BJJ for that fact that they feel like it's something that could be a lifelong thing rather than, something that's short term. Man, just wanted to go into like how you kicked off. I read somewhere you started MMA at 17. How did you kick off with martial arts in general? Was it before that or was it that time? And then how did you find it?
it was at that time. So it was my last year of high school. Second I started martial arts, I was like, this is it. This is all I want to do for the rest of my life. I don't want to do anything else. So I'd rock up to the morning class and do jiu-jitsu. And then I'd sleep all day during my classes. I used to go to a school called Villanova. We wore like blazers, and I would like tuck my blazer over my head to like make a little like a pod to fall asleep in. And I would literally just sleep through at least like three of my classes during the day, because I couldn't give a fuck about any of that stuff. But then I would just be excited as hell whenever grappling or striking or whatever in MMA came around, and I could practice it again. So then I'd go to the nighttime classes and I'd burn myself out like crazy doing hours of work.
That's it, man. And what made you kick into it? Like, what was the starting reason that you went to it?
I've always liked martial arts. I've always watched movies like Karate Kid, and I've always thought like, fuck, that'd be pretty cool to be able to move like that, to be able to perform like that. And I actually started Japanese jiu-jitsu first, which is, I don't know if you've heard much about it, but it's kind of like, well, at least the variation I did was like a small chunk of grappling, but really just a combination of like a bunch of different martial arts. But it was initially the grappling part that I fell in love with. Like I found, obviously the level was like lower at the Japanese jiu-jitsu place than a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym for their grappling level. But I found I was like tapping their high belts like quite early on, just from like watching lots of footage online. And then one of the instructors actually said to me, they were like, man, like you're actually quite talented in this. You should look at pursuing it. Maybe try to find a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym or an MMA gym and see where it takes you from there.
Yeah, man. It's actually, you mentioned the Japanese jiu-jitsu. Quite a lot of the old school MMA guys from Australia and other parts of the world, before the BJJ was as strong as it is, started in that or did quite a bit of it. And one of my good friends from Sydney, Larry Papadopoulos, I don't know if you heard him, is an early MMA guy. He actually kicked off with that as well. Yeah, and I think he's a black belt in that as well as BJJ, etc. Yeah, no, it's a cool art. There are some applicable things that move into all the other grappling arts as well, right?
Yeah. Well, it seems to be such a good one to kind of give you like a taste of a bunch of different stuff in martial arts and kind of see what you like, right?
True. So you started with that. Which gyms did you then go through before you've moved into Team Compton Training Center?
So I was training at Sassum MMA for a little bit. I found I wasn't gelling all that well with the head coach there. I found like I wasn't learning like I should. I had a lot of great training partners over there, but like I said, like the head coach and I didn't really see eye to eye, and I felt like I wasn't learning as quickly as I should. I was kind of like lagging behind, especially considering the amount of time that I put in. And then I started training, doing a little bit of training with Aaron Blackie and Steve Compton. And it fit like a glove. I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like every single session, I felt myself like getting way better. And yeah, so I never looked back. That's been the change.
Well, that's just the way things are in life, right? Like there's certain people you click with and certain people you don't. And it's probably something for people to think about in gyms because, whether or not it's an elite gym or not, sometimes you'll click or you won't click with that style and the people around you. And you want to find one where you feel at home because when you're spending so much time there, man, especially if you're looking like yourself at being a professional, you want to be in a place that, you're very comfortable with the people that you want to be around a lot because you're going to be there a lot, right? You don't want to be stuck in a place where you have some sort of problem.
Yeah, exactly. And like the environment that we have at like Team Compton is like most of the guys are gym rats. Like they're absolutely obsessed with like the craft and getting better. And they're all like instructors themselves as well. So they're quite generous with their knowledge. So man, at any point, like on the mats, we could have like a dude goes who's at the Olympic level for like judo. We can have like a dude who's like top 5 in the world for kickboxing and Muay Thai. You know, we can have like a guy who's top 10 in the world for like his boxing weight division. So we just got a bunch of savages in a bunch of different like martial arts and a diverse amount of martial arts and styles. So we just got a crazy amount of knowledge on the mats, and it's the best thing ever for someone like myself who's young and eager to learn, to like be able to absorb from all of those different people. And I'm fortunate that I've got a place like that because of the mindset of my head coach, Steve Compton. He's always been a big believer in sharing the knowledge. Like we're the furthest thing away from you know how you see some gyms like people kind of be
right? Yeah, too closed off
scared to
learning,
like
right?
input their own stuff. Yeah, exactly. They're scared to input their own stuff. They don't want to offend the coach, but like we're lucky. Our coach Steve Compton, he's like the best instructor, but also like a student of the game. So like he'll always want to learn himself and get better.
Yeah, man, I've heard
that's why he.
So I was going to say, I've heard the name pop up a lot with different MMA guys and that maybe, I don't know, they must have, some of the guys like Adrian Pang and that, are they related to that gym at all? I feel like I've heard the name pop up a few times in the past. I can't exactly remember where.
Yeah. I think because Steve and Elliot, they were part of like Integrated for a while, which is Adrian Pang's gym. I know they kind of went their different ways at some point. But yeah, I've heard they're doing great stuff over there as well.
Yeah, man, it's good to see, right? Like Australian MMA, and that's going to keep going forward if you can get all these gyms running that are professional and that have these high level people from the different codes all together and learning, because that's what we want ideally, right? To keep developing and keep up with these countries that are doing well, like the US, Brazil, etc., Russia. You know, we want to have these high level people there, the top world people in your gym. And it sounds good. I saw you hit a few of those judo throws, right? So someone's teaching you a few judo throws there.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, like Aaron Blackie is at a super high level for judo. He was before he converted to like MMA, he was at the absolute peak of judo for our country. So having guys like that around is like, it's a cheat code.
That's it, man. Because in MMA, a lot of people are used to the regular wrestling takedowns, right? And when you're clinching against the fence, you see some people just hit great judo throws because they're not expected trips and throws, right?
Yeah. It's funny, huh? Like people seem to follow the common blueprint nowadays of MMA, right? Like wrestle boxing. And then when you do something that's not wrestle boxing, they seem to be quite surprised, like a judo throw or some slip elbows in the clinch or like a really nice foot sweep to set up a head kick, you know?
Yeah, that's it. Good to have a bigger repertoire, right? You see like guys like Izzy recently practicing. It looked like I'm not 100% sure, but look like a Taekwondo school or something, practicing lots of like, you know, different styles of kicking, like really fast, different kicking, which they can add to their repertoire, keep learning, right?
Yeah, man. Like it's always cool to see like any level of innovation, right? And like I think people forget how young MMA is, and they I think because of like how big social media and also viewership of like those really big stars are, that like people get too fixated on trying to copy exactly what one of those big stars are trying to do, as opposed to trying to kind of innovate their own thing and see what they can come up with and create their own style, which a lot of the time people aren't prepared for because they're too busy following what other people are going to do, right?
Yeah, man, it's interesting. It ebbs and flows, right? Like what you think is the best, and the next year it doesn't seem to be the best. Like you got like a Khabib, and then you got an Israel, like completely opposite styles, like just, you know, killing it. So yeah, it's still learning, like you said, it's still flowing and learning. There's probably no end because it just keeps innovating and kind of swinging backwards and forwards with the athlete themselves, and then you know, what styles they can bring to the fray.
Yeah. Like I said, like my head coach Steve Compton, he's very big on that Jeet Kune Do understanding of like learning, like real big on that, like absorb, what is useful, reject what is useless. So, but you can't do that if you don't kind of give everything a try. You don't feel what actually works for you.
That's it. So we can expect to see you doing some ninjutsu work somewhere with the lights off soon, just to incorporate into
Very possibly. Very possibly. You got to be ready for everything. There's a blackout in the middle of my fight, you're getting fucked.
That's it. That's it. Pull out the shurikens, bro.
Yeah, exactly right.
Hey, bro. So you mentioned your father is Chinese. Did he have any involvement in any sort of martial arts or anything like that, or in your pursuit of martial arts?
Probably not a crazy amount. Like he wanted me to do martial arts, but I think he was a little bit biased to the Chinese martial arts initially, which, I mean, for MMA they seem to be like the less popular ones, the less ones seen on the big shows. He did, however, get me into like a lot of those like martial arts movies, like Jackie Chan movies,
Jet Li and stuff,
which always got me yeah, exactly, which always got me excited into the idea of fighting, which initially as a kid, like I never knew was an actual possibility that you could do that and do it as a career, right? But now, like, we're quite fortunate that it is a strong possibility.
That's it, man. And he's from is he born in Australia or he's born in somewhere else before he came
was
to
born
Australia?
in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, cool. I'm actually living an hour's boat ride away from Hong Kong. I'm in Macau right now.
Oh,
so
right.
yeah, I know a bit about
Cool, man.
And Hong Kong's a cool place for martial arts, man. They've got all those old sort of Wing Chun schools, lots of other things, and they've got a pretty high interest in things like Muay Thai's been in Hong Kong for a long time. You know, Muay Thai's been around there heaps. There's quite a few Thais teaching in gyms. There's a couple of MMA gyms, quite a few BJJ gyms now. It's pretty cool over there, man. So did you get to learn any language, bro, from your father?
Man, I wish I had of. My dad was real big on trying to teach me to speak Chinese, and like as a shithead kid, I was like, oh no, I don't want to learn it. But all I wish is that I had of committed some time to learning that. I'd learn it now, but I'm so worried about the idea of diverting my attention away from like one thing. I always feel like I get too distracted if I do that. So everything's focused on MMA.
But bro, you know, like incremental learning, like from MMA, it's the same, bro. So, you know, you take it up and you give yourself a small time every day, or you when you talk to your father, you try and practice a couple of words or something. It'll come over those years, you know. So, and it's also it's kind of less dependent on your body, so it could be a downtime thing, bro.
Can you speak it?
I speak a bit of Cantonese, which is the main language they speak in Hong Kong. Not heaps, but like I've been here for quite a while, so I speak a bit. The funny thing is, bro, I don't know. There's a word that when I first saw your name, I was with a guy who's from Macau, a Chinese guy, and I said, "Oh, this guy's from," and then he goes, "Ah, mafan," because you know, there's a word called mafan. It means like you're like a nuisance or troublesome or something. You say whole mafan means very troublesome. It's obviously there's different intonations. Your name wouldn't be exactly the same intonation, but when you see it written like that, people say it all the time. Mafan means you're very troublesome, and it's kind of funny. Obviously, it's not the word because there'll be a little bit of different intonation in your name, like because it's a tonal language, right? But just to read, it says that kind of thing. So it's kind of funny. You could ask your dad if you say mafan. Say your dad, leave mafan. You go, what? Bro. I learn a bit over here. It's kind of interesting to be in this culture, and I do have an interest in martial arts as much as anyone over there, you know. And they've got that basis. And people in China, when they're growing up, like quite a few of them, like my wife as an example, her father took the kids out and was teaching them kung fu. It was like totally useless stuff from what I've seen. He showed me, but still, it's part of their culture, right? And it's interesting that sometimes it can come through, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Bro, so talking about your gym again, you're actually teaching there as well, right? So that's part of your thing?
Yeah. So I teach at 2 locations. So I teach at Team Compton Training Center and the Agoji Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Team Compton's on the north side of Brisbane and the Agoji's on the south side. I love the teaching side of it. Absolutely love the teaching side of it. Initially, like I used to like get nervous at the idea of like when I was a kid, like doing like oral presentations and stuff like in school. So like the idea of teaching seemed a little bit worrying. Um, but I've always kind of been someone that is into like puzzles, right? And I think of like most of my students as like a different puzzle to solve, right? Like very rarely can you just do one explanation for every single student that you have. So I think of it like, how can I get across what I'm trying to say to this person? And like even more so when different students of mine have different injuries, they got different they've gone through different surgeries, right? They're different body types. So it's not just going to be, okay, here's the stuff I do, you do it. I've got to like find different of stuff that I know or stuff that I've seen before, and I've got to see what works best for them, not just works best for me, and try to like get them to copy it.
And that's a good way of thinking, because I think a lot of people don't teach like that. A lot of people have their method and their skill and their formula, and they say this is what you do, right? Like, of course, good coaches have more than that. They're going to be able to apply to different, strengths for the people. But it's good that you're thinking it, especially at a young age and a probably a young stage of teaching as well, right? It's not bad.
Yeah.
So also, man, I wanted to talk about your training. Like, how are you training now as a professional? What sort of I think I read or heard again 2 or 3 sessions, 6 days a week. Is that right?
Yeah. So depending on if I'm in camp or out of camp, towards the end of camp, I try to make every session pretty intense, like pretty much to failure. So at that point in my camp, I'm not doing like as many, but out of camp, I can easily do more than 3 per day. I try to hit a lot of volume. There was a point where I was doing 4 or 5 most days, which like is only possible by kind of like reducing the intensity a lot and focusing on like the actual technical side of it, and just relaxing, like sacrificing my ego completely, allowing myself to get beaten in sessions just to focus on like the technical games of it. And I'd say that is probably when I'm like the happiest, like when I get to work on just copious amounts of detail, and I get to really go deep into that technique and kind of like lose my mind in it. That's when I reckon I'm like I'm the happiest. So yeah, that's ideal for me.
That's cool, man. Yeah, no, it's good. It sounds perfect. Like what you're saying about, when you have that downtime, that you're still involved as much as you can developing the skills, because it's how you get there, right? Use as much the time as well as you can to get there. Hey, talking about your intense sessions and moving up to your fight, how did you feel in that fight? Because it was pretty grueling. Like, example, 3rd round, how were you feeling when you went out? You feel good?
Man, that was like, I had a huge adrenaline dump in that fight, which was weird. I've never been tired like that in a fight. It was actually quite strange. It was cool though. Like I kind of, like I said, I kind of found comfort in it. Like in that 3rd round, in the break between the 2nd and 3rd round, I was like, fuck, I am exhausted. And I was like, this is kind of not as like easy as I thought I was going to have made it. Especially like for me, my mindset is after I've taken someone down, they should not be able to get back up a single time. So the fact that he got back up a few times, which I think was largely due to the fact I was way too excited to use my elbows on the ground. I've been waiting for that that rule change under the pro rule set for a while. So I was super excited to use my elbows. But yeah, going into that 3rd round, I was way more tired than I thought. And then at a certain point, I just like realized like I could do damage to him with my hands as well. Like I started jabbing him, and I was like, oh wait, like why haven't I been doing? Exactly right. I was like, why haven't I been doing this from the beginning? Like this is awesome. And I ended up not looking for the takedown for a while because I was like, man, this is too much fun.
Right?
Like I was punching him with the jab. Yeah, I could feel him kind of like missing shots by a little bit. I was like, this is awesome. Like I love this side of MMA too. And I loved it. I was exhausted. He was exhausted. So like realistically, neither of us were at a huge risk of like getting like knocked out, and we could literally just have fun with it. I found a lot of fun with that.
Man, in saying that you were feeling tired, if you look back at the footage, if you ever have a chance, look at him in the third round coming out. Look at his face. He's fucked, bro. He's like over it too, man.
Yeah, that's what people reminded me. Again, like I'll never just look at a fight like, oh well, I won, so like let's ignore that. Let's go back to like thinking I'm the top shit. I feel like I should have finished him in the first round, and I do look at it like why didn't I finish him in the first round? So I definitely reckon I made a lot of mistakes in there. He like, even though he did look exhausted, I shouldn't have looked tired whatsoever, and he should have been fucking rooted. Like that point at the very end of the fight where he was kind of like lying on the mat, like exhausted, puffing. I should have been able to make that happen much earlier. And yeah, we've been kind of working on like why that didn't happen and making sure that does happen earlier next time.
Yeah, on that elbows one, like you said, you're excited to use elbows. That first round you did land a big one. I kind of visually remember you like dropping a big elbow on him against the cage. Yeah. Like you had him on the ground against the cage and just went douche. You landed a big one. The commentator said something about, oh, nice elbow from Marfan or something.
Yeah. If you look at the rest of that first round as well, you'll see like stupid angles that I should not be throwing elbows. I was just trying to like sneak little elbows in because I was just way too excited to throw elbows. Plenty of opportunities to control him better or to land hands, and for whatever reason I was like, nah, I just want to fucking throw some elbows.
I've been exactly there, man, but in stand-up I did kickboxing for a long time and then switched to Muay Thai, and it was exactly the same. I'm like, in a clinch, I'm like, fuck, I can use elbows. Dude, like, it's good, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like a kid in the candy shop, huh?
True. Hey, man, quickly wanted to talk on those extra things that you do to get to your level, strength and conditioning, recovery, diet. Can you talk about that at all, or what you do?
Diet, I'm pretty fortunate. I work with the fight dietitian.
Geordie seems to be working with like the whole of Australia and
man,
New Zealand.
He runs the game. That dude is a wizard. Yeah. I at the moment as well, I'm working with the dojo dietitian who's just under Geordie, under the same banner. They're absolutely great to work with. Crazy fortunate. Like the amount of stupidity that I would have applied to my own weight cuts if I didn't have people like that would be ridiculous. I'm also kind of working with Trainaid at the moment, and Trainaid are absolutely awesome. Like it's the one supplement that I've actually had that I've noticed a noticeable difference from, and that's what I hear from most people.
That's for hydration, basically, like, is it Trainaid? Because I don't know much about the brand. I see it advertised from people. It's hydration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a hydration supplement. And I don't know, I've had stuff like Hydrolyte and like a Gatorade and stuff training, and I've always not felt any different. But like Trainaid, I've noticed like quite a significant difference in my training. Like I definitely wasn't able to do those 4 or 5 trainings per day before I had Trainaid. Strength and conditioning, I probably don't do enough of. I probably should do more. Again, like for me, like I'm in the martial arts game because I like enjoy martial arts. I enjoy working on the skills of martial arts. I have to use a lot more discipline to tell myself to like, all right, sit down, let's actually do some strength and conditioning. Whereas like I never need any discipline to do like martial arts. So I train a little bit of strength and conditioning outside of camp, but then during camp I like take it away so that I can focus on my cardio.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's very like contentious issue, man. There's a lot of people that like John Donaher as an example, man. He doesn't tell his students to do any strength and conditioning because he says you've got X amount of time, that during that time you should be, it's not like limitless. During that time you should be focusing on technique because that's how you're going to get better, not like doing something that's not as related as technique. So instead of these BJJ guys doing strength and conditioning, they should be learning techniques, right? And they should be mastering those techniques, which makes sense, right? Of course, there's arguments on both sides of it, especially for the competition. But yeah, it makes sense as well. And if that's what's working for you, why not?
Yeah, 100%.
People get distracted with it,
Yeah,
right? And start doing too much of that,
yeah,
and getting away from the fact that they're doing a skill or like they're learning a skill.
yeah, 100%. I see a lot of people. I think you kind of plateau in terms of strength and conditioning at a certain point, and I feel like you can, as long as you're smart with your training, you can never really plateau with technical training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a better investment. I think when it gets to the point that everyone's doing a decent amount of strength and conditioning, it's 100% just going to come back down to like who's most technical. And I don't think I need like a crazy amount of strength and conditioning to feel really strong.
Good, man. A question on your psychological prep. Obviously, you've had a lot of competitions in grappling already, which would contribute. But how do you prepare psychologically for your first pro fight?
Yeah, I hear a lot of times people talk about having like a sports psychologist or whatever, but like for me, that's like why my team and my coach are around me. Like, having people like that around me, like especially that have like experienced it, like they've gone through all that. I feel like that's more valuable in many ways than like a sports psychologist. I don't know. One day I might like give it a go, and maybe I change my mind. But at the moment, I feel like that's all I need. Just a good team around me that like let me know when things are working, things aren't working. At the end of the day, I go into there and I beat someone with my skills. I feel like I don't like if I have the right skills, I'm confident. I can go in there with the perfect mind state. If I don't have the right skills, I'm not confident. I can't go in there with the perfect mind state. So I feel like that's what it comes down to. I feel like I don't need to like cheat code my way to a win by like trying to win some psychological battle. I feel like as long as I've done the work, I feel awesome. I'll go in there and I'll kill it.
Yeah, that last part you just said, man, it seems to be the key from a lot of successful fighters is if they've done the work and they can honestly say they've worked as well as they can towards something, then that's the confidence they need to give them that psychological strength, right? It's when you haven't done enough that you're going to have those doubts.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, man. So 2022 and the future, what are you looking for, man? Like, what are you hoping to do this year? And then you mentioned that your aim is to take over the Australian sort of scene. What's your, I guess, short-term and long-term goals?
So short term, I'd like to get on that next Eternal.
That's this weekend, bro.
No, on the Gold Coast one. No,
yeah, fair enough.
Late notice report.
Late notice call. The call up on Friday.
No, yeah, excellent. I'm liking fighting on Eternal at the moment. They treat you great. It feels like such a professional show. Definitely currently the best path to like the UFC, which is the goal. I definitely love to get in a few more fights this year. I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 more. I want to verse maybe one more person who's like got a similar level of skill to me. And then after that, I feel like I'm ready to punch them on my weight a little bit, you know, to call out some of the guys that are a little bit more experienced, a little bit higher ranked. I'm expecting a lot of people to like to me the underdog in the matchup, and then I want to come out there and prove like what I can actually do. I definitely have not shown what I can do in the gym in any of my fights yet, so I'm excited to be able to do it. And I think I just need maybe 1 or 2 more my like feet underneath me, and get used to like the pro rounds of like the round length and stuff. And then after that, I feel like it's too late for everyone else in the lightweight division. I feel like I'm going to run through everyone.
Yeah, man. It's exciting. Like Eternal's doing well. You've got like guys like Jack Della Maddalena, are leading the way, showing that if you do well on this sort of show, you can get some exposure and get into the big dogs and compete at the high level. He's got a fight coming up as well, and you got a few other Jacks everywhere. Jack Becker, Jack Jenkins, all these Jacks waiting to get in. You might have to change your name to Jack. Yeah. You'll be right.
Yeah. You're onto something there. That's definitely something.
It's all in the name. Hey, bro, I got 10 quick sort of questions I've been asking a few different fighters and coaches. Just kind of a short answers, a couple of normal questions, a couple of like funny questions, and then we're done.
Yep.
First question, you guys being MMA fighters and guys that spend a lot of time exercising, you've got a good idea of training and everything. What are your tips for training and motivation for just your general sort of person?
I think don't do any training that you hate. You have to just find what you like, and then once you like it, it won't feel like a chore.
That's a good one. What's your, there's tips for true health? Like true health is like overall sort of health, not just the body. So any tips for that?
Training. I think exercise, like whenever I feel like I can't exercise for whatever reason, whether I'm like sick or injured or like when there were like COVID lockdowns, that's when I feel like my mental health kind of goes shit. I can't speak for everyone on that, but like I found that like when I started exercising a lot more and I kind of made that like a huge part of my day, that's when I felt like the happiest.
Yeah, cool. Best street fight story?
Street fight story. I was at a yeah, it's actually good. I was at a dress up party, right? And this dude had walked down the stairs, and I was sitting on the stairs with my mate. And he kind of like smacked my hat off my head, and I was like, oh well, I've been drinking a little bit. I won't react to it because it's a bad idea. But then he goes back up the stairs. 5 minutes later, he comes back down, smacks my head off my head again. So I'm like, fuck, I'll say something. I go, wait, mate, what the fuck is that about? And he turns around and he goes, oh, so you want to fight, cunt? And I go, what? And he grabs me by the collar and he punches me in the face. So immediately, right, I just started training jujitsu. Immediately, I'm on my back. I'm like, sweet, like, pull guard. I'm gonna start pulling him into my triangle. So like I grab him by like the neck and by the hand, and I start trying to pull him into my triangle. Just as I'm about to close my legs up around his neck, my mate pulls him off of me, and like the fight gets broken up. But the shit thing was, it just looked really gay from that position. Like I was just grabbing him by the neck, and my legs were super wide. I was just pulling him to my crotch. And I was like, man, I was about to choke that guy out. They're like, you weren't about to do shit. You're about to fuck him. So definitely did not go to plan. The moral of the story is jiu-jitsu looked very homosexual until it worked.
That's funny, man.
Of the story.
That's funny. Actually, there's a funny little clip I found the other day. Yeah, there's all these things about pulling guard. This guy breaks into this guy's house. He goes, what are you doing? He goes, I've come to rob you. And he jumps on the ground and says, come on, come and lay on top of me or something. It's so funny, eh? Yeah. All right, bro. What do you think's the best street fight technique apart from pulling someone into your crotch?
Oh, that's a good question. I see, like, this is what I reckon that, like, for street fight technique, right? Like, if you're on concrete, judo or wrestling cannot be beaten. Like, the idea of throwing someone and landing on them, especially landing on their head, is like the most terrifying thing, right? That's a fight finisher. Yeah, I definitely reckon a back arch suplex immediately turn them into a paraplegic.
Yeah, exactly. I know a mate who's done that in working security before. Suplex.
Oh fuck.
Suplex to knockout. Yeah, and also I saw there's a clip that floats around. I've seen it pop up heaps of a dark-skinned lady doing a judo throw where you're in front, you jump to your knees and you just bury them in the ground. Man, she smashed this guy's head in the concrete. Man, easy to break someone's neck. So strong, man.
Yeah, drop shoulder throw.
That's it. Number, is it Sionagi or something, I think it's called. Number 5, if you could only choose one martial art to do, what would it be?
I think probably jiu-jitsu. I think jiu-jitsu is just kind of like includes a lot under that banner. I think you kind of get wrestling and judo as a part of jiu-jitsu, so it's in some ways like a cheat code as well. You kind of get to use that as well.
Cool. What's the true value of learning martial arts or MMA?
I think you learn a lot about yourself. Not just from learning martial arts, but especially like if you learn it to the point where you get put through like a fight camp. I think that's crazy. You can break through so many limits that you thought were there, and they're not there whatsoever. It's a crazy feeling of euphoria that you can like do anything, right?
Cool. On to some silly questions to finish, bro. Someone gives you an elephant, you can't sell it or give it away. What will you do with it?
I'm eating that, bro. I'm eating that elephant. 100%. Saves a bunch of money.
Bro, that's the
Chinese response to that answer.
That's the Chinese in you 100%, bro. There's a Chinese saying, I wish I could say it to tell your father, but there's a Chinese saying, if its feet are on the ground and its back to the sky or the sun, we'll eat it. So there you go. And you gave the same answer as Josh.
100%.
And you gave the same 100%. Answer as Josh.
I would be so curious. All right, there you go. You see, it's an Asian thing, bro. 100%.
Must be. Next one, compare yourself to an animal. What would it be and why?
Fuck, that's actually a hard one. I don't know. I don't really have an answer to that one.
All right, we'll go to the next one. Describe the purpose of MMA to someone from another planet. I'm giving you the hard
MMA. Yeah, fuck. These are like almost philosophical. Purpose of MMA. Entertainment, really, though, isn't it? Such a small percentage of people like actually doing MMA. So like for the most part, it is like entertainment. Yeah.
That's it, bro. Last question, bro. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized Francis Ngannous or 1 10-foot tall-sized Francis Ngannou?
100 duck-sized Francis Ngannous, 100%. I would just be booting those motherfuckers across the room. Not a single one would get close to me. I reckon you could like line it up so that you could take like a line of them out, right? Yeah, I used to play football. I was alright at it. I wasn't great, but I reckon good enough to like boot the fuck out of some duck-sized Francis Ngannous.
That's good, bro. Cool. That's the last question, bro. Thanks for your time. Wishing you the best in 2022 in the future, and I'll be following you and your fights, bro. So nice to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, bro. It's been nice to meet you.